Obviously, one of the biggest moves of the offseason, the Suns acquiring Bradley Beal. What do you think of the move, and how do you like his fit in Phoenix?
I mean, it's obviously doubling down on the win-now window that they created with Kevin Durant. And when they make the move, the first question to me was, okay, how are you going to fill out the rest of the roster? I honestly thought they came up with a pretty good answer to that by what they were able to do in the minimum market. Now, we'll see. Guys are minimums for a reason, but I thought they got guys who have a chance to be really solid complementary players. They went for length, they went for shooting. While Eric Gordon's not necessarily in the length department, he's physical, he's tough, he can guard multiple positions because of his strength. So I think that the Suns certainly improved their chances of winning a championship next season. Again, while making it very clear that this is probably a 2, maybe 3-year window in Phoenix right now. And once that window closes, it might be difficult to open up another one.
I know it's hard to project because we haven't seen this big three together, a lot of new faces, but in your mind, how much closer did they move to Denver in terms of being near the top of the West?
Yeah, and I think first thing is they still don't have an answer for Joker. The DeAndre Ayton situation, I would say, has not been fully resolved. They can tell us how much they love him, and then you hear some of the trade discussions that have been happening, and it's like, do I believe what you say or do I believe what you do? But look, can the Suns potentially outscore anybody 4 times in a 7-game series? I think you at least have to leave open that possibility. And one thing that happened was Kevin Durant did not play up to his ridiculously high standards during the playoffs, particularly in terms of efficiency, because he was having to play 40-plus minutes, and obviously coming off the injury, couldn't have been in peak shape. I think having another elite scorer, potentially you can get those playoff minutes down to still a superstar level, but a more reasonable level, especially for a guy with KD's injury history and age. So I think they're closer, but like I said, you see, the Joker still is the problem.
There's been a lot of comparisons. The easy one is to the Brooklyn Nets big three with Kevin Durant. How do you see this big three functioning? Because it feels like they might be a little bit more interchangeable in terms of playing on and off the ball together.
Well, the thing about the Brooklyn big three is, basketball-wise, that was beautiful. They just didn't play much together for a wide variety of reasons that everybody, I think, if you think about pretty hard, you can understand. I don't anticipate those kind of issues complicating matters in Phoenix. And I think the other big question is, how is Devin Booker going to do essentially as a full-time point guard? We saw some of that obviously after Chris Paul went down during the playoffs, during that series, and he had, in the 2 games that they won, 2 of the most efficient, prolific performances that we've seen in playoff history. But whether he's listed as point guard or not, I think Devin Booker has essentially become the Phoenix Suns point guard for the foreseeable future. How he thrives or fares in that role, on a full-time basis, I think will determine a lot about whether the Suns really have a chance to win a championship there.
Last question, obviously the big one for Suns fans. What can they expect from Bol Bol if he signs with the Phoenix Suns?
Some possessions that make you shake your head for sure. Look, man, he's an interesting prospect. I don't know quite what to expect. I was a little surprised that Orlando let him go, though, just because I did think that he showed some, pretty significant flashes there. He's long, he can shoot a little bit, he can dribble a little bit. Sometimes you're like, oh, stop dribbling. But then it's like, well, hold on, how did he get through all that and end up laying the ball up or dunking the ball? I don't know. He's an interesting character to watch. Exactly what to expect, the unexpected, I would say.